Online game, I possess a monster merging simulator. Chapter 251, Please concentrate on dating us. 2 silver coins is too expensive. I don't want this potion. I don't want it either. We can use potions sparingly these 2 days. We can definitely last for 2 days. At that time, with teleportation available, who would spend such a waste of money? That's right, I'm not buying it. They might lower the price later. They dare not lower it. At that time, they will make a huge loss. Ha ha ha, this is bad. The 1.5 million gold coins worth of goods from world destruction will cost them at least 1 billion in losses. This is their retribution for trying to kick us out. God Tyrant is the lifelong enemy of the World Destruction Guild. After seeing Lorne's post, the players who were still fighting over it scattered. No one was willing to buy it even if it was 2 silver coins. After all, the potions in the main city were only 1 silver coin. No matter how cheap the potions here were, they were still double the price. Unless there was someone with a screw loose, no one would suffer such a loss. Moreover, in Lorne's post, there were many pictures of cold desolate Dragon City, especially the pictures of the teleportation circle. They were very exquisite, so the players could not find any reason to doubt all of this. After all, not long ago, everyone had seen with their own eyes that Tyrant had once led tens of thousands of city guards and then brought millions of NPC workers from Iron Skull City to an unknown place. From the current situation, those people should be working in cold desolate Dragon City. Brother Crossfire, we can't sell our potions. What should we do? The members of the World Destruction Guild were all dumbfounded. They had gathered more than 10,000 people and spent more than a day transporting the herbs from Iron Skull City to the Expeditionary Army camp. But now, they had only sold a little, but such a huge change had happened. The extremely popular market had actually been compressed to the limit at this moment. Even a bottle of potion could not be sold. Didn't they say that the supply could not meet the demand? Didn't they say that they wanted to earn 3 billion? What was going on? Why did they fail to sell anything after an hour? Damn you, Tyrant, you're not human. Crossfire burst into tears. It was just a game, how could he fool the players like this? Things had already reached the final step. In just 2 to 3 days, even if the market of the ruins of the war changed, as long as the potions were sold, he would not lose anything. However, now that the teleportation array of the cold desolate Dragon City was out, these goods were meaningless. Even if he sold the goods bought with $3 billion for 1.5 silver coins, there would be no profit. According to the current situation in the market, the price might be maintained at most around 1 to 1.3 silver coins. It was equivalent to the loss of 20 to 50 bronze coins for each potion. In that case, the project alone would lose $1 billion. If cold desolate Dragon City was more convenient, they would lose even more, or even reach 2 billion, because they had also loaned 500,000 gold coins worth of goods from Iron Skull City. In short, the guild had suffered a huge loss this time, and his life was completely over. It was all that damned Tyrant's fault. Ding! Message reminder, your account ending with 1244 has been transferred 500,000 Alliance dollars today. World Alliance Bank. Message reminder, your account ending with 1244 has been transferred 500,000 Alliance dollars today. World Alliance Bank. Ding! Message reminder, respected customer, because your account has automatically reached the black gold level of our bank, it has now automatically leveled up for you. You can choose to reveal and hide your information on your own and directly enjoy the top banking manager services of our bank. You can enjoy various preferential services such as investment, property, and borrowing. Please log into the World Alliance account to check for details. As soon as he went offline, he received several messages from the bank. However, the income was a little strange. Recently, Lorne had not sold any game items, nor had he extracted the profits from the Dragon 1 shop, so he had no income for the next few days. This message was from the World Alliance Bank. If it was a game, it should be the term Divine Realm Virtual Bank. Puzzled, Lorne checked and found himself pulled into a chat group. There were only 3 people inside, Jessica, Nina, and himself. Nina: Mr. Lorne, my sister, and I sent you a red packet just now. Mr. Lorne was super awesome that night. Nina enjoyed it. This is a token of our appreciation. Jessica: this is our love for Mr. Lorne, because this is our first time in a relationship. I don't know how to express it, so I'll express it in a more direct way. Please forgive me. Nina: sister, there's no need to explain. Mr. Lorne understands. Jessica: it's okay to explain. In addition, when is Mr. Lorne planning to move here? Nina: that's right, that's right. I've already prepared a house for you and even reserved a villa near us. We're in Mansion 1 and Mr. Lorne will be in Mansion 2. It's very close. Jessica: last time, Mr. Lorne said that he would arrive a few days later, but we have already waited for more than 10 days. Nina: it's exactly 10 days since we left. Sister: I really miss Mr. Lorne. Jessica: I miss him too, but he always says he's busy. Nina: it's been so long since you came. Mr. Lorne, did you sleep with someone else? Jessica: I don't think so. Although we're not very skilled, we're all very beautiful and have taken the initiative to learn a lot of skills. Mr. Lorne should not be interested in others. Nina: I guess so. Then, please take good care of your body. When we come, we can test out our new skills and guarantee that we can take down that fierce guy. Jessica: at Lorne, don't work too hard. I'll do my best to deal with your sister's issue. Also, the 2 of us will give you $1 million each month. We don't want to interfere with the rest. We just want you to not have any emotional or physical contact with other women for the next few months. Nina: yes, yes. Please focus on dating us. Looking at the series of messages in the chat group, Lorne did not know what to say. The women of the richest family were indeed different. Even their pocket money was calculated by the million. If such a good thing happened before the game began, to be honest, Lorne would not have chosen to play it. Unfortunately, the current Lorne would prioritize his progress in the game. He had to make decisions based on the game's situation. After all, Lorne already knew the authenticity of virtual reality materialization, so nothing could affect his determination to succeed. Chapter 252, Global Sensation. When would he go find them? Lorne felt that he had to wait a little longer. Now that the construction of the cold, desolate Dragon City had reached a critical juncture, he did not have any thoughts of dealing with other matters. In any case, his sister had already received the best medical care. There was no need to worry about anything else. Lorne planned to find time to go to the high-level energy zone after the construction of the cold, desolate Dragon City was complete. The next morning, Lorne woke up in his small villa. As soon as he logged into the Divine Realm account, a pile of friend notifications popped up. Leader, you're completely famous now. In the entire game, everyone is discussing your Dragon City. Leader, I should be done with my matters in reality these 2 days. Can you let me enter the cold, desolate Dragon City? Leader, are you asleep? Leader. Super Rich sent a pile of messages. This super rich tycoon seemed to be busy with the business in reality recently. He only entered the game occasionally during this period of time. He did not even have the time to loot such a huge market like the ruins of the war. Lorne was not about to reply, but thinking of the business development in the city, he agreed. In 2 days, the restoration of the cold, desolate Dragon City would be completed. At that time, it would be completely open to all the players. Before doing this, it was also good to let Super Rich come and see the situation. In terms of business, he was a true big shot. After replying, Lorne checked the message. Brother Tyrant, thank you for your reminder. I avoided the risk of selling overpriced potions. However, Brother Tyrant, you have really made the World Destruction Guild anxious. Those guys are looking for you all over the world. Look at the forum. The World Destruction Guild has gone crazy and is crazily flooding the forum. Brother Tyrant, no matter what you do, remember not to expose your identity in reality. Those fellows from the World Destruction Guild are not good people. Little Brother Tyrant, did you see the message? No way. You went offline so early. Did you go masturbate? Quickly reply to me. All the following information came from Twinkle Rose. It's none of your business whether I masturbate or not. However, since I've given you such a huge help, shouldn't you express your gratitude? For example, use your feet to help me. Lorne teased the beautiful guild leader playfully and immediately felt much better. Then, he opened the web page and prepared to enter the game's official forum. But the next moment, a pile of headlines appeared. Divine Realm player Tyrant has successfully obtained the first player city. According to the initial evaluation of the experts, this city is worth 100 billion. Financial Daily. The path to wealth brought about by the game records the unbelievable experience of the Divine Realm player Tyrant. Global Daily. The financial experts point out that playing a Divine Realm game is the simplest way for young people to create wealth and value. Global Financial Network. The World Alliance's official publicity department has issued instructions to promote players like Tyrant. They are to encourage citizens to enter the Divine Realm and explore the spiritual world. They are to provide important help to the country in its research on virtual reality. Trending news. Lorne froze. Ever since he became famous in the game, these media companies treated him as a wealth engine. As long as something happened, they would report it globally. Especially today, regarding the matter of him building a city, it had actually been reported for half an hour in a specific news broadcast time of the World Alliance. This was an honor that had never been obtained by any event in the past. By the way, shouldn't these guys pay for the advertisement? Lorne shook his head and smiled. Then, he opened the game forum. The same thing happened again. A series of trending posts appeared on the forum. Shocking! The first player territory in the world appears. Super shocking! Player Tyrant leaves Iron Skull City with 1 million NPCs. Where did the 10,000 city guards go with Tyrant? The market of the ruins of the war will be completely ruled by Tyrant. The first player main city Cold Desolate Dragon City. Scene exposed. The strongest player in the Divine Realm, Tyrant, has publicly announced that the first city of the players will be opened in 2 days. In the forum, all the players went crazy. The value of a player city was unimaginable to ordinary people. In the eyes of the business big shots, the value of a mature city with a certain scale was no less than that of a large corporation. According to the analysis of the professionals on the internet, the initial value of the Cold Desolate Dragon City was at least 100 billion. This was a conservative estimate considering many factors. Some bold scholars online directly estimated the value of 1 trillion. Although they had not specifically checked the true size of the Cold Desolate Dragon City and did not have any detailed internal information, as long as they saw the use of the Cold Desolate Dragon City in the ruins of the war, it was enough to make them believe that this was not only a player city, but a huge gold mine that would continuously generate wealth. However, Lorne felt that these guesses were too conservative. Cold Desolate Dragon City was a huge city with 40,000 hectares. Coupled with the unique geographical location, it occupied the key map resources that the former players needed. At the same time, because the environment of the ruins of the war was very special, the players' consumption was higher. In Lorne's eyes, this city was priceless. After all, with the virtual reality materialization effect, if this city or the army in the city could be conjured in the future, the effect would exceed all the benefits that Lorne would obtain. Therefore, the offers on the internet were meaningless. Those capitalists who wanted to invest in the cold, desolate Dragon City would not be able to do so. World Destruction Guild. Lorne continued to search and found that the non-pinned posts were all occupied by the members of the World Destruction Guild. Several posts were made in succession, not giving anyone a chance to send a message. Tyrant, please reply if you see anything. I'm the Deputy Guild Leader of the World Destruction Guild, Crossfire. I have something to discuss with you. Again? Lorne frowned. Lorne did not want to open it. However, it was different this time. He was a little curious about what the other party would say, because Lorne knew that their intentions were most likely regarding the Doomsday Forest. After all, these guys had transported goods worth 1.5 million gold coins. Now, because of the cold, desolate Dragon City, the market had directly collapsed. Hundreds of millions of potions were left in their hands. It would be strange if they did not take the initiative to find them. Chapter 253, Giving You a Loud Slap. Tyrant, there was a misunderstanding between us previously, but we have already apologized. I hope you don't take this to heart. After all, this is a game. Peace between the players is the most important. If you really hold a grudge, we are willing to compensate you. We will even leave the position of Deputy Guild Leader empty for you. As long as you say a word, we will agree to any condition. In addition, we have a cooperation project that we can invite you to join. As everyone knows, our World Destruction Guild has already transported the goods of 1.5 million gold coins to the Doomsday Forest and will be able to sell them all immediately. In order to ensure the greatest benefits, we hope that you can delay the opening time of the city. Of course, for this, we will also give you generous benefits. After the potions are sold, we can directly give you 500 million alliance dollars. I believe this is not a small income for you. Now, as long as you delay the opening of the city for a few days, you can easily earn $500 million. This time, our World Destruction Guild has displayed the greatest sincerity. We also hope that you can give us face and consider it carefully. If you have considered it, please call me. The contract and deposit are ready at any time. World Destruction, Crossfire. After checking the information, Lorne smiled. He did not know if the fellows from the World Destruction Guild really had good taste or if they were helpless and wanted to rope him in. Moreover, they were really sincere this time. After all, the message was so long. This was unique. But were they mistaken about something? As the city lord of the cold, desolate Dragon City, I directly control the market in the ruins of the war. You actually want to share some of the profits with me? Was his brain rotten? Couldn't Lorne monopolize all the income? Did he have to give them a share? Moreover, the World Destruction Guild could not change their ways. They had clearly encountered a crisis, but what was written in the document seemed like it was their act of kindness. With that in mind, Lorne decisively left a message. You want me to give you face? Are you worthy? If you really want it, I can give you a tight slap on your face. In the game's internal forum, all IDs were tied. The moment Lorne's reply appeared, the post immediately exploded. Oh mighty tyrant! The World Destruction Guild still wants God Tyrant to give them face? What are they thinking? I'm dying of laughter. Crossfire has a brain tumor for sure. Do you still want face? Do you want a slap instead? Ha 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 ha. As expected of Tyrant, he doesn't care about the World Destruction Guild. I heard that the Crossfire project is going to lose $1 billion. He's begging Tyrant, but he's not familiar with this method. If you kneel and cry, perhaps Tyrant will pity you and agree. Haha, that's too much, brother. He closed the post. Lorne continued to check the forum and found that other than the posts of the World Destruction Guild, there was only talk about cold, desolate Dragon City. Almost all the players were discussing how much money Tyrant would earn after he had a city. In addition, a large number of live streamers were asking for the route to the cold, desolate Dragon City, hoping to go there before the opening. Lorne did not care about them. There was a very terrifying monster group outside the cold, desolate Dragon City. 99% of the players could not directly cross it. At most, they could see some outlines on the distant cliff. After checking and failing to find any useful information, Lorne closed the forum. Then, he put on the game helmet. Log in. Lorne entered the game again and appeared in the cold, desolate Dragon City. Ding! Construction external city wall repaired by 0.1%. Current progress, 69.47%. Construction Dragon's Clock Tower repaired by 0.1%. Current progress, 77.93%. Construction Alchemy Workshop repaired by 0.1%. Current progress, 91.55%. Construction Giant Fountain repaired by 0.1%. Current progress, 92.39%. Construction Dragon Statue repaired by 0.1%. Progress, 99.01%. Construction Internal City Wall built by 0.1%. Current progress, 10.43%. Immediately, Lorne received a series of information notifications. It could be seen that under the cooperation of 2 million workers, the various buildings were repaired. Most of the current work was to repair the buildings. The outer city wall was the greatest problem. A total of 1.1 million people worked at various stages of the city wall, but the progress was still slow. According to the current entry, the expansion mission of the city wall should be completed in 2 days, but a portion of the collapsed work should still be left behind. In this aspect, the construction team who built the city wall of the City Lords area could help. The city wall construction of the City Lords area was relatively simple. It could be completed in about a day and a half. The remaining time was just enough to help the outer city wall complete its construction. However, there was another important problem, which was the destroyed buildings in the city. Those severely damaged buildings were already difficult to repair. They could only be rebuilt, but the difficulty of rebuilding was very high. After all, the building materials in the cold, desolate Dragon City were very huge, and the construction difficulty was also very high. It would be very difficult to rely on these workers alone. With that in mind, Lorne arrived at the construction guild. The elites of the gnomes worked here, as did Tully, who was in charge. Especially after obtaining a portion of the construction blueprint, he was completely obsessed. He had been staying in the research room for a long time without eating or drinking. He did not even notice Lorne's arrival. Only until Lorne was beside him and called out that Tully looked at him in surprise. Chapter 254, Conditions to Create Crystal Cannons. My lord, you're here at the right time. Look, this is the construction blueprint for the cold, desolate Dragon City that you gave me. To be honest, the layout here is simply unbelievable. Its building looks very conventional, but the details of the construction are extraordinary. Even the location of the building is not casually arranged. Behind the seemingly messy structure is a huge plan. The cracks that were deliberately left, the floor inlaid with crystals, and the engraved totems are actually filled with meaning. When these things are all combined into one, they will form a complicated and huge magic circle. This magic circle is extremely ancient, incomparably huge, and its effect is also extremely mysterious. Tully excitedly displayed his discovery. Lorne had already seen this from the original blueprint of the cold, desolate Dragon City. This magic circle was the final result of the first ancestral dragon comprehending the power of the divine dragon of order. Its name was Ancestral Dragon City Barrier Formation. If this protective magic circle was activated, the patterns in the entire city would have the effect of condensing the surrounding earth veins and the energy in the sky, finally forming a powerful dragon made of energy. If it was the kingdom of the dragon, this energy dragon would be able to erupt with power comparable to that of a god. In terms of defense alone, the kingdom of the dragon was a first-level main city that could surpass Iron Skull City and even the Empire Alliance. Unfortunately, the cold desolate dragon city was a much weaker city. Without the outer city wall of 16,000 kilometers, it was not a complete city, so the final force decreased rapidly. In the ideal state, this magic circle could also unleash the power of a demigod, which was on the same level as the protective magic circle in Iron Skull City. But if it was just like now, with the buildings everywhere damaged, the power would decrease rapidly. As for how powerful the energy could be released now? In fact, Lorne could not explain it himself. He could only say that the higher the recovery rate of the cold desolate dragon city, the greater the energy gathered by the magic circle. What Lorne handed to Tully this time was only the blueprint for the workshop area and some living areas, but he could discover this very hidden magic circle from it, which showed that Tully was indeed a rare talent in building knowledge. But now was not the time to study it in peace. Tully, I'll study it later. Now, let's do something else. No problem, my lord. I have to find time to digest the knowledge I just obtained. I can't figure out its specific use in the short term. Tully nodded seriously and asked, then, what new mission are you giving me? Many buildings in the cold desolate dragon city have been destroyed. I wonder if you have the ability to complete the construction. Lorne asked. I was about to ask you the same question. Tully said, it's difficult to rebuild the destroyed buildings in the city, but it's not impossible. The Gnome Mineral Company has a specialized construction team. If we can find them, there's hope of completing the buildings in a short time. In addition, considering the many patterns on the buildings, we need professional sculptors. This can be handled by high-level gnome robots, but there are too few robots in the city. To support such an efficient project, 200 high-level gnome robots have to work at the same time. 200? Lorne wanted to roll his eyes. High-grade gnome robots were not for sale. If he wanted to buy them, he had to use the complete dragon crystal. How could it be so easy to obtain this thing? Moreover, one dragon crystal could only purchase 10 high-level robots. In other words, he had to have 20 dragon crystals to achieve his expectations. Wasn't this a joke? At this moment, Tully said, Lord, don't worry. My grandson, Turadu, admires you very much. You can build a cooperative relationship with him and let him lead the construction team to build the city. I believe he will be willing to enter this legendary city and will definitely give you the best discount. How about this? I'll leave the cooperation with the Gnome Mineral Company to you. Hand the financial report and proposal to me and you can arrange for them to work as soon as possible. We have to restore the city as soon as possible. By the way, Tully, there don't seem to be any city defense weapons in the cold desolate dragon city. It's difficult to build the crystal cannon for the time being. We need to build some defense buildings to pass the time without the city defense cannons. Lorne spoke again about his next construction plan. Previously, it had been said that the cold desolate dragon city was the city of the dragons. With the powerful strength of the dragons, there was no need to build any weapons in the city. But now that it was Lorne's territory, it could not remain the same. Lorne planned to build crystal towers, arrow towers, and other defense buildings in the city to increase the city's defense. After all, this was a ruin of the war and was at the border of the Doomsday Forest and the Lake of Death. There were countless monsters around. If he attracted the hostility of powerful monsters, it would be difficult to resist. Please rest assured, my lord. When I was studying the blueprint, I had already discovered this problem. A few hours ago, I had already informed the design department to quickly design a reasonable set of city defense buildings with the city as the foundation. In addition, I think you can use high-level materials to cooperate with the Gnome Mineral Company. Because our gnomes like to study machinery, there is a huge need for high-grade mineral materials. Moreover, recently, the laboratory has been undergoing a special experiment that requires a large amount of mithril essence. Today, our surveyors brought back news that there is a sulfur mine that contains a large amount of mithril essence. I think this might help us create the crystal cannon as soon as possible. Tully said his thoughts seriously. Yes, that's a good suggestion. Lorne nodded, but the crystal cannon needs a lot of materials. Can the Gnome Mineral Company provide them all? No, only the Human Empire has the Olympiad runes and the amorphous matrix runes. These are the core elements. Without these two sets of magic circle patterns, there's no way to complete the crystal cannon. However, the Gnome Mineral Company can provide all the remaining materials. In this way, we can create it first. As the final step, the magic circle runes can be fused after it is obtained. This might not allow us to immediately have crystal cannons, but it can allow us to obtain the crystal cannon as soon as possible in the future to prevent any unexpected situations. Otherwise, it will take too much time to develop it again. Tully said. This made Lorne's eyes light up. It was naturally a good thing to be able to build it in advance. Once he obtained the two sets of array patterns in the future, he would immediately be able to obtain the crystal cannon. Lorne immediately nodded, let's do as you think. During this period of time, we have to immediately implement our plans for the city defense buildings and the city defense weapons. With the constant war in Iron Skull City, we can only survive in this chaotic era with a reliable defense of our own. Yes, I'll arrange it now. Chapter 255, Repair completed. Ding! Construction external city wall repaired by 0.1%. Progress, 98.47%. Construction Dragon's Clock Tower has been repaired. Construction Alchemy Workshop has been repaired. Construction Giant Fountain has been repaired. Construction Dragon Statue has been repaired. Construction Internal City Wall has been completed. Soon, the second night arrived. After 2 days of construction, the restoration of the entire cold desolate Dragon City was almost completed. Most of the buildings in the city were revived. As long as the damage was not more than 30%, there was a possibility of repair. The buildings that were more than 50% damaged were all cleaned up. Even the remaining buildings were removed. As a result, in this huge city that occupied more than 40,000 hectares, apart from the sparse huge buildings, most areas were very empty. The entire building also gave off a grand feeling. The construction of the city wall was not completed yet. Lorne had no choice. The funds needed to pay 2 million workers were too high. In just these 2 days, he had already spent a total of 5 million gold coins. If he converted it to alliance dollars, the total price would exceed 10 billion. Lorne could not help but sigh. Outsiders only saw how much he could earn, but no one knew that such a powerful player with a net worth of more than 1 billion had already become a billionaire in debt. Fortunately, the towering city in front of him filled Lorne with confidence. After losing 10 billion today, in the near future, he would definitely be able to rely on today's investment to obtain a return of 10, 100, or even 1,000 times. With that in mind, Lorne finally felt better. He opened the city map. It could be seen that the blueprint for the cold desolate Dragon City had changed. There were many additional facilities on the original cold desolate Dragon City. The largest and most obvious was the division of the City Lords area. It had completely divided the entire cold desolate Dragon City into 2 parts. First was the City Lords zone. This was called the Inner City by Lorne. The total area of the inner city was 5,000 hectares. There were temporary dragon nests, dragon tombs, Dragon King's Castle, 600 meters, x1, tall buildings, 300 meters, x2, ordinary tall buildings, 100 meters, x7. The construction of the dragons was made very large, but unfortunately, most of the buildings were empty. In the future, he had to build them again to increase the efficiency of the buildings. Next was the Commoners Zone. This was called the Outer City by Lorne. The Outer City had a total area of 35,000 hectares, including all types of living areas, workshops, warehouses, and so on. Other than the general regional distribution, there was also the Resurrection Array X3, Teleportation Array X3, Ordinary Tall Building X20, Ordinary building X45. From these numbers, it could be seen that the buildings in cold desolate Dragon City were relatively empty. Most of the areas had huge empty spaces, unlike Iron Skull City, which was filled with shops and restaurants. Lorne was also prepared to transform a portion of cold desolate Dragon City into a city that was suitable for humans like Iron Skull City. However, this project was a little huge. He had to hand it to the players and let them take the initiative to build the city. Then this highest building will be the core administrative hall. Lorne designated the 600-meter-tall building as the core administrative hall. Under normal circumstances, after a battle between the two cities, when the warriors of one territory broke through the core administrative hall of this city, it meant that the entire city would fall. This was also one of the reasons why Lorne wanted to differentiate the inner and outer cities. Dragon King's Castle. That's a strange name. I should change the name to Cloud Top Hall. Above the clouds was the name of the guild, and as the guild base, it was natural for cold desolate Dragon City to name this most important building Cloud Top. After he finished modifying it, his friend list suddenly lit up. It was Super Rich. Leader, is it convenient for me to go take a look at the cold desolate Dragon City now? Sure. Lorne agreed. Now that the basic construction of the Dragon City was about to be completed, and it was very close to the 2 days' time that he announced back then, he estimated that in a few hours, the teleportation array of the cold desolate Dragon City would be completely opened. Therefore, letting Super Rich enter the city would not affect anything at all. Swish! A light suddenly appeared on the teleportation magic circle of the cold desolate Dragon City. It was Super Rich, who he had not seen for a while. My God, leader, you're too awesome. Super Rich looked around and realized that there were towering buildings nearby. There were buildings more than 100 meters tall everywhere. The highest building at the back was as high as the clouds and were connected together. It was shocking. In the distant square, a large number of gnomes were busy in the city. The tens of thousands of city guards were responsible for transporting them. It was a spectacular scene. Just from this alone, Super could clearly understand that his choice back then was not wrong. This young man really had the ability to change the entire virtual world. This city would also be an important beginning for him to build his empire. He believed that in the future, this young man would truly control the wealth of this world and become the richest man in the world comparable to him. Leader, previously, you said that you would hand over the business of the cold desolate Dragon City to me. Is that true? Super Rich looked at Lorne expectantly. As a real businessman, Super Rich knew the value of this city. If they could obtain a business share, it would be very profitable, even more so than having a large corporation. Don't worry. I'll leave part of the business to you. After all, the city is so huge. I can't manage it alone. Thank you, leader. After receiving an affirmative answer, Super Rich was a little excited. In the past, when he was doing business in the real world, he had never failed. This time, the battlefield was actually in the virtual world. This made his heart, which had been still for a long time, surge again. Looking at the surroundings of the cold desolate Dragon City, Super Rich said seriously, as the only place where there is a teleportation circle in the ruins of the war, for a long time in the future, cold desolate Dragon City will become the central gathering place where the players go. With its geographical location, this place will become a true super commercial center. With the special geography of the ruins of the war, the future transactions of equipment, potions, and items will be very common, and this also means that the market is incomparably huge. Chapter 256, Business Plan. In the potion business, cold desolate Dragon City can basically monopolize the market. In order to prevent other merchants from competing for the market, we can limit the price to less than 1 to 1.5 silver coins. The recycling business of equipment is basically monopolized. We can recycle at a maximum of 20%. The repair business is also a considerable income, but compared to other businesses, it's slightly insufficient. We can reduce the cost and form the style of the main city, while also winning people over. Revival can also be charged 1 to 10 silver coins. I believe the players can accept it. There's also the auction house. Like other main cities, we can charge 5% fees. Super Rich analyzed all the businesses in detail, his opinion basically in line with Lorne's. Originally, Lorne was not confident in his plan, but when he heard that this real businessman thought so, he became even more convinced. He also believed that the potion business was the most profitable business in the cold desolate Dragon City. Although the profits were relatively small, when the quantity was huge, it could also bring huge benefits. Recycling was also an important business. The money earned by second-hand merchants was very high, not to mention that he did not have to invest. He only needed to collect them all and sell them to Iron Skull City. The repair business had low profits, and there was no profit to be made. This was not what Lorne had expected. He felt that Super Rich's plan was worth referencing. As a player's main city, he indeed needed some special benefits to attract solo players. To a city, the flow of people was the symbol of wealth. The small benefits given by the cold desolate Dragon City could allow the total number of players in the ruins of the war to increase greatly. There might even be a chance to exceed 10 million people. It was equivalent to the entire market expanding by 5 times. When other merchants bring potions to the ruins of the war, the cost is 1.5 silver coins. I'll set the price at 1.5 silver coins and completely stop others from snatching the market. Other than the main businesses, other businesses can be opened up. This way, we can keep the core members of other factions and also increase the passion of the merchants in the cold desolate Dragon City. As long as I draw taxes, I can earn money without doing anything. The tax in Iron Skull City is 12%, so I'll make it 20%. The resurrection cost is 50 silver coins per attempt. Lorne gritted his teeth. As the saying went, if one was not ruthless, they would not earn enough. Since he wanted to earn big money, he had to be bold. Who cared about reputation? He had to maximize the earnings first. Leader, you're really ruthless. Super Rich gave him a thumbs up. 50 silver coins was equivalent to about 1,300 alliance dollars. Most players could not afford to die at such a price. However, the problem was the benefits of the ruins of the war. The monsters here had a higher drop rate. If they could kill monsters here steadily, the daily income would be very impressive. Therefore, for the sake of their own benefits, if the players accidentally died, they should still endure the pain of resurrection. After all, even if they returned to Iron Skull City to revive, they had to pay the cost of teleportation anyway. Thank you. The corners of Lorne's mouth curled up as he said, this is only the foundation. Most importantly, the cost of teleportation from Iron Skull City to cold desolate Dragon City is 10 gold coins per teleportation. 10 gold coins. Even Super Rich was stunned. 10 gold coins was equivalent to more than 20,000 alliance dollars. How could a player afford such an expensive toll? Although the high teleportation fee was necessary to prevent players from deliberately returning to Iron Skull City and spending in Iron Skull City before using the teleportation circle of the cold desolate Dragon City to descend into the ruins of the war, this teleportation price was still too high. Even the players of large guilds could not accept the high cost. 10 gold coins. Lorne nodded and continued, however, we have another rule. All players have one use of the teleportation circle at 99.9% discount every week from Iron Skull City to the cold desolate Dragon City. If they used the teleportation circle of the cold desolate Dragon City, they would only need to pay 10 silver coins to go to the surrounding map of the ruins of the war. Brilliant, leader. Super Rich nodded repeatedly. This way, the players who enter the cold desolate Dragon City will not leave the city casually. The business income in the city will also remain stable. It's not brilliant. It's just a small trick. Lorne smiled happily. By the way, leader, shouldn't you rebuild this place? Super Rich looked at the large empty space in front of him and felt that it was a waste. After all, this was the main road in the city. There should be enough shops here. Otherwise, it would be difficult to support the patronage of so many players. It's already planned. The construction will begin soon. Lorne looked at the repair progress of the city wall and found that it was about to be completed. He led Super Rich towards the city wall. Now that his business plan had basically taken shape, Lorne did not have to worry too much. Other than the main business in the city, the other related businesses were all handed over to Super Rich to manage. This guy was not just shrewd but also had strong professional knowledge. With him managing it, Lorne believed that he could definitely bring enough benefits to the cold, desolate Dragon City. As for now, it was time for Lorne to prepare to open up the cold, desolate Dragon City. First of all, he needed some city guards to maintain the security in the city. Lorne had a plan for this a long time ago. He quickly found Commander Rhett. City Lord Tyrant, the city wall project is almost completed. What do you want us to help you do next? Rhett was very professional. He had promised to do it for 5 days, so he would definitely fulfill his promise. Of course, they had nothing to do after finishing this. With the combined efforts of 2 million workers, the construction of the city was basically completed. No matter how many construction missions there were, they would not need the city guards of Iron Skull City. After all, they only had 100,000 people, and without professional construction skills, they were not too useful for the subsequent projects. Therefore, Commander Rhett, after you complete the city wall building, the mission will end. However, Lorne said, Cold Desolate Dragon City is a relatively large city and is in a new state. With my personal strength, it's not enough to take care of everything, so I hope that you can be the city guards of Cold Desolate Dragon City. City guards? Commander Rhett was stunned. He did not know how to answer. After all, they were the city guards of Iron Skull City. How could they be the city guards in other cities? Wasn't this asking them to defect from Iron Skull City? Chapter 257, Solving the City Guard Problem. I'm sorry, City Lord Tyrant. As the city guards of Iron Skull City, we cannot join any city, much less become the city guards of any city. Without hesitation, he rejected it. As a loyal subordinate of City Lord Answer, he would definitely not betray Iron Skull City. It was also because of his excellent quality that Answer let him be the commander-in-chief of the army. I think you're mistaken, Commander Rhett. Lorne said, I don't want you to join the cold desolate Dragon City, but I want you to temporarily maintain the security of the city as a garrison. I believe that you know very well that the current cold desolate Dragon City is still in its initial stages. Although it has already completed the basic repair work, it has also made me, an adventurer, use all my wealth. If I want to continue building a city, I have to attract other adventurers. Otherwise, the cold desolate Dragon City will forever stagnate. However, after completely opening up the cold desolate Dragon City, I will encounter another problem. That is, the order of the city needs to be maintained. Without enough powerful city guards, the city will completely fall into chaos. At that time, not to mention obtaining benefits, even the city will be destroyed. Therefore, I have to let cold desolate Dragon City have an army that can maintain order. It just so happens that Commander Rhett is going to lead the army to suppress the monsters in the ruins of the war. There will be a large number of troops stationed here in the future. Even if you carry out a crusade mission, I think you will also leave a portion of the army behind to coordinate and go on rescue missions. This group is basically going to idle in the city. Therefore, I hope that the ones that stay behind can help me share the pressure of a portion of the city guards. I believe that Iron Skull City wants cold desolate Dragon City to expand. After all, our location is close to the 3 border fortresses. If we can be the center of the army's coordination, we might be able to use the fewest armies to provide the greatest support on the battlefield. Lorne analyzed. The city guards were the targets he had to fight for. Otherwise, the strength of the city guards alone in such a huge city would be very troublesome. Furthermore, he wanted more than 5 million people to flow into the city. With so many people gathered together, the probability of friction would be very high, so he had to have powerful city guards. The city guards led by Ret happened to be of this class, and their subsequent mission required them to reserve a portion of their people in the cold, desolate Dragon City for a long time, giving Lorne a chance. As long as they could accept the job of city guard first, after this period of time, Lorne would definitely develop his own army in the future. When the time came, he could completely take over this job. Hearing these explanations, Ret fell into deep thought. It could not be denied that Lorne's suggestion was very valuable. Cold, desolate Dragon City was located at the edge of the Lake of Death and the Doomsday Forest. In the northernmost Dragon Ridge, there was a fortress in Iron Skull City. In the northwest of the Lake of Death and northeast of the Doomsday Forest, there was also a border fortress. Every fortress had a teleportation array that could teleport the armies. However, the problem was that when the Dark Abyss attacked, it often interfered with the teleportation circle and restrained the help between the fortresses. In addition, the ruins of the war had always been at the back of the fortress. To Iron Skull City, it was like a fishbone stuck in its throat. It cut off the connection between the three fortresses and Iron Skull City, causing each fortress to have to fight their own battles after each battle. As for building a city there, every time Iron Skull City wanted to carry out this plan, the Dark Abyss would definitely put pressure on the border to prevent the plan from progressing. But now, a city that covered an area of 40,000 hectares suddenly appeared in the ruins of the war. Moreover, the location was very ideal. It relied on the Lake of Death to cut off the possibility of the Dark Abyss attacking at full force. At the same time, it was in the middle of the three fortresses. If it was used as the center, it could really let an army support the three fortresses back and forth. With the fewest people, it could be of the greatest use. Thinking of this, Ret wavered. In fact, he could not refuse, because everything that Lorne said was the plan of Iron Skull City. Now that it had finally been realized, there was indeed no reason to refuse. All right, I accept your invitation on behalf of Iron Skull City. In the following period of time, because our city guards need to be stationed in the cold, desolate Dragon City, it will cause a lot of trouble for the city. Therefore, we will contribute to the city guards' work and actively cooperate to respond to the beneficial actions of the entire cold, desolate Dragon City. This was a meeting between the two cities, so the conversation in Iron Skull City that he represented was quite official. But in any case, this matter had indeed obtained the most perfect result. It was good news that Commander Ret was willing to accept the job of the city guards of the cold, desolate Dragon City. It had basically resolved the security problem in the outer city. Then, it was time to deal with the inner city. The inner city's defense was even more serious. Lorne was not worried that the monsters would destroy the inner city, but to prevent some players from secretly entering and investigating the layout of the inner city. An ant's nest can collapse the ground 1,000 miles away. He could not allow this dragon city of 40,000 hectares to be broken through from the inside. In order to ensure the safety of the city to the greatest extent, apart from the people who received permission, no one was allowed to enter the inner city. Therefore, Lorne needed a group of guards that he could completely trust. With that in mind, Lorne let Super Rich visit on his own. At this moment, he took out the return scroll from Iron Skull City and crushed it. Swish! With a flash of light, Lorne returned to Iron Skull City. After the players obtained the guild base, they would activate the NPC rental system. They could use their identity as the city lord to rent suitable NPCs from various large forces. The use of these NPCs was relatively obvious. Most of them were responsible for guarding the city and security. Some NPCs had the ability to patrol outside the city, but these NPCs were relatively expensive. Of course, if one's reputation was high enough, they could also recruit individual NPCs. This kind of NPC belonged to the private army of the players. They would obey all the orders of the players. Not only could they protect the city, but they could also carry out an expedition. Moreover, high-level NPCs would appear in such armies. These NPCs had their own wisdom and could help the city lord complete many things. For example, Tully was a high-level NPC. His intelligence was very high. Among the NPCs, he was definitely considered a wise one. However, his relationship with Lorne was still developing. It was not to the extent that he could truly command as he pleased. Under normal circumstances, the affinity between the two sides had to reach the level of close friend to completely trust this NPC. At that time, even if one asked him to die, he would not hesitate. The relationship between Lorne and Tully was still one step away. The relationship between the two sides was more about the city lord and the citizen. They were not completely trusting of each other. It was also because of this that Lorne had not handed the core blueprint of Cold Desolate Dragon City to the other party to study. Chapter 258, Radiant Night. Lorne opened the information regarding the rental of NPCs and fell into deep thought. There were many choices in front of him. Every faction had different NPCs for the players to rent, and the cost was also very different. Iron Skull City Barracks could rent out warriors, archers, knights, and other combat NPCs. Blacksmiths Association could rent out functional NPCs such as blacksmith, smelter, and builder. Alchemist Association could rent functional NPCs like alchemists, gatherers, and herbalists. As the main city of the players, Iron Skull City had almost all the NPCs that one wanted to rent. However, Lorne was not satisfied. These rented NPCs all belonged to Iron Skull City, and Cold Desolate Dragon City would definitely become a competitor of Iron Skull City in the future. After all, the location of Cold Desolate Dragon City was more suitable for adventurers, so Lorne did not think that renting people from Iron Skull City was a good choice. Compared to Iron Skull City, Lorne was more inclined to the Church of Light. In the Church of Light, one could rent Church Devotee, Church Priest, Church Knight, Light Knight, Holy Knight, Great Holy Knight, Light Priest. It could be seen that there were two types of distinct NPCs in the Church of Light, priests and knights. Both had the special power of the Church of Light. The Holy Light gave the priests stronger healing abilities and the knights stronger combat strength. If he rented the Light Knight, the guards in the inner city would no longer have to worry. This was because the NPCs of the Church of Light had a very powerful talent, which was Holy Light Eye. This talent could allow the Light Knight to clearly sense the approach of the surrounding creatures. Even if they were invisible, they would be detected immediately. Most importantly, the Church of Light did not belong to any faction. It only followed the Order faction. In other words, it was definitely neutral. Even if Lorne's Cold Desolate Dragon City clashed with any force, as long as Lorne did not betray the Order faction, the Church of Light would not give any instructions to the Light Knights. This was the advantage that Lorne valued the most. However, the cost of renting a Light Knight in the Church of Light was also extremely high. At the very least, it was not something that the current players could afford. Lorne glanced at his church reputation panel. Church of Light reputation points, 5,715/5,715. This reputation was nothing compared to the reputation of hundreds of thousands of empires. However, the reputation of the Light faction was very rare. Those who could exceed 1,000 points were the top players in the world. To rent a Church Knight, he needed 1,000 reputation points from the Church of Light. In other words, Lorne could only rent 5 Church Knights. This was too little. Lorne found the priestess of the Church of Light, hoping to increase his rental limit. The result was very successful. First of all, because of his high dragon race reputation, Lorne obtained 50,000 church reputation points. Then, with his affinity with the Dragon of Light, he obtained another 50,000 church reputation points. Then, Lorne activated his angel's wings. In this world, possessing the angel's wings meant that he belonged to the angel faction of the Church of Light and was the highest level combat soldier in the entire church. Therefore, with the angel's wings, Lorne obtained another 100,000 reputation points. All in all, this beautiful priestess of the Church of Light had given Lorne a temporary quota of 200,000 reputation points, which could be used to rent everything here within this quota. Therefore, Lorne opened the reputation exchange panel of the Church of Light. Church Knight. Level, 30, same as the City Lord. Attributes. Skill, Charge, Frenzied Will, Cross Flame, Armor Proficiency, Holy Light Eye. Recruitment requirement, 1000 reputation points, reserved, not expended. Recruitment cost, 20 gold coins per day. Introduction. The assault force of the Church of Light is a firm believer of light. The thick armor they wear provides them with powerful defense, and the power of light provides them with powerful attack power. Light Knight. Level, 30, same as the City Lord. Attributes. Skill, Holy Light Charge, Spear of Judgment, Knight's Spirit, Punishment Spear, Holy Light Eye. Recruitment requirement, 5,000 reputation points, reserved, not expended. Recruitment cost, 0 gold coins per day, serving an angel is the supreme glory of a light knight. Introduction. Only a 1 in a million knight can be qualified to receive the baptism of the power of light and become a light knight. In fact, the burning faith allows the light knight to obtain powerful strength and can easily defeat all opponents. These were the recruitment requirements for two types of soldiers. It could be seen that recruiting soldiers in the Church of Light would occupy the reputation of the Church of Light, but it would not consume reputation. However, the city lord still had to pay the recruitment fees for these warriors. Church knights needed 20 gold coins per day. This was not a small number. In other words, the monthly salary of a church knight was 600 gold coins, and a huge city like Cold Desolate Dragon City required a large number of NPCs. According to Lorne's initial estimation, the city guards of Cold Desolate Dragon City should be around 20,000. Only this number of city guards could maintain the security of the entire city. If all the city guards were replaced by church knights, then Lorne would have to spend at least 12 million gold coins per day. As expected, it costs money. Lorne sighed. Fortunately, the security of the outer city had been handed over to Red and his army, and the cost of their city guards was provided by Iron Skull City, so the pressure on Lorne was not that great for the time being. Currently, he only needed to recruit some knights and protect the inner city. With that in mind, Lorne decided to recruit two types of soldiers. First of all, the number of church knights was 100, which consumed 100,000 reputation points. Then, the number of light knights was 20, and the reputation consumption was 100,000 points. These 120 knights were enough to protect the inner city from being invaded. After all, they had the super practical skill, Holy Light Eye, on them. At the same time, their combat strength was very high, and they could easily kill any player other than Lorne. Chapter 259, Announcing the Event Mission to the Players. Everyone, patrol according to the planned route. Any adventurer and others who want to forcefully enter the inner city can be stopped by force or even killed directly. After returning to the Cold Desolate Dragon City, Lorne immediately dispatched the 100 church knights. In fact, the inner city wall did not need to be guarded everywhere. After all, the height of the city wall here was also 20 meters. Ordinary players would definitely not be able to easily cross such a high city wall, so these knights could patrol back and forth on the city wall, ensuring that there were no loopholes in any corner. The remaining 20 light knights were like team leaders. Each of them led a small team and were responsible for the safety of a portion of the city wall. This way, the inner city was basically safe. It's time to open up the Cold Desolate Dragon City. If I don't earn some money, I won't even be able to afford the salary of a church knight. Lorne muttered. Then, he placed all the magic crystals on the teleportation circle. A large portion of these magic crystals were borrowed from Doge. Lorne had no choice. He was really too poor now. He could not even take out a gold coin. He hoped that these magic crystals would allow him to survive this most difficult period. Huff. Taking a deep breath, Lorne opened the system interface again. At this moment, Lorne also realized that as the city lord of a large city, he actually had the authority to make announcements in the entire city. Although he only did it 5 times a day, it really saved him a lot of money. Then, he wrote a message and chose to send it. Doomsday Forest. Countless players ended their killing of monsters and began to chat on the forum and chat. Because it was almost time for Tyrant to open the city, most of them wanted to enter the huge city and see what the first mysterious city that belonged to the players looked like. But at that moment, a grand system notification sounded in the sky. Ding! Iron Skull City announcement, Cold Desolate Dragon City. City Lord of Cold Desolate Dragon City, Tyrant, has issued an event mission construction of Cold Desolate Dragon City. Mission description: any adventurer can enter the Cold Desolate Dragon City and help complete its construction. All adventurers who participate in the event and obtain enough contribution points will receive a high-grade equipment reward. At the same time, you can exchange points for a large number of high-grade rewards. Please participate eagerly. For event details, please click here to check. Ding! Ding! The announcement in Iron Skull City repeated 3 times. Moreover, the information that the players heard this time was not from a player, but an event mission issued by the system. Therefore, the entire Iron Skull City was in an uproar. The players checked the details of the event, but in the next second, their eyes widened. Event mission: construction of the Cold Desolate Dragon City. Participation requirement: player of the Order faction. Event content. Event reward: points, you can exchange for a reward in the event shop. The highest reward is the City Creation Token. Event time: not confirmed. Event introduction: City Lord of the Cold Desolate Dragon City, Tyrant, wants to complete the construction of the city as soon as possible in order to provide enough help to the border defense line of Iron Skull City. Therefore, he has recruited you to help him complete the construction of the city. After accepting the mission, you will obtain the corresponding points from any contribution you make and can exchange them for any reward. When they saw the details of the mission, the entire Iron Skull City exploded. Damn, damn, damn! Did I see wrongly? Why is there a city creation token as a reward? Was this event mission really initiated by a player? I'm dumbfounded. He actually took out the city creation token as a reward. A city creation token is worth billions. With this thing, I can support 18 generations of my descendants. Tyrant is too crazy. The players were hysterical. Originally, they thought that this time, it was just a simple opening of a city, but who knew that Tyrant would throw such a huge surprise? Not only did he activate a large event mission, but he even placed the city creation token in the reward panel. He was simply too rich. Guild leader, has Brother Tyrant become an NPC big shot? He can actually activate an event mission. In a training ground in the ruins of the war, a priest player saw the announcement and smiled at Twinkle Rose. Who knows? That guy is always so mysterious. Twinkle Rose shook her head. Ever since the game began, Tyrant had been very mysterious. Although she had many connections with that guy, she did not know much about his strength. However, the only thing that made Twinkle Rose conclude was that Tyrant had an extraordinary identity among the NPCs. This might be a positive cycle due to his powerful strength. When one came into contact with the first high-level NPC, they would be able to obtain a high-level mission and obtain a high-level reward. Then, with their high strength, they would encounter higher-level NPCs again and use this cycle to obtain their current achievements. Wow, Sister Guild Leader, look! There's a city creation token in the event reward. The moment the priest player opened the mission panel, she immediately cried out. When everyone created a guild, the city creation token was the item that all large guilds wanted the most. That's true. Twinkle Rose's eyes also lit up. Inform all the sisters in the branch to choose 50,000 people to help Tyrant build the city. What? Sister, isn't 50,000 people a little too many? Guild leader, did you not sleep well? Is your head not clear? Our guild only has 60,000 people. This rotten love. The beautiful women in the guild spoke. Sisters, you have to believe me this time. Twinkle Rose smiled. In the past, Tyrant had helped us a lot. He was the one who told me about hoarding the antidotes. Later, he gave us a share of 300,000 antidotes and sold us all kinds of high-level equipment. To be honest, our Silver Snow Guild has received too much help from him. Therefore, today, we have to give back to Tyrant. After helping him build the main city this time, we will send a few sisters to entertain him. I believe that when we build the main city in the future, he will definitely provide us with huge help. Hearing these words, the beautiful women of the Silver Snow Guild giggled. I want to pay with my body. Brother Tyrant is handsome, rich, and has a good character. He's simply the Prince Charming of my dreams. There are too many people in the guild who like Tyrant, but I'm afraid that Tyrant's body can't take it. That's right, that's right. Sluts, move aside. Brother Tyrant is mine. Chapter 260, A Storm is Coming, Undercurrents Rushing. At the World Destruction Guild base, Spec was grimly listening to the sales report from Crossfire. During this period of time, because of the Tyrant's territory, many players no longer bought potions. Even if they saw a potion worth 1.7 silver coins, they were indifferent. In order to recover as much as possible, Crossfire had no choice but to reduce the price of the potion to 1.5 silver coins, or even 1.4 silver coins. This price could basically only be maintained at the cost without any profit. But even so, the sales were limited. Seeing that the time for Tyrant to open the city was getting closer and closer, in order to recover, Crossfire reduced the price again to 1.2 silver coins, or even 1 silver coin. This price made many players feel moved. After all, even the potions in Iron Skull City required 1 silver coin to buy. This price was completely within their acceptable range. In the end, the World Destruction Guild sold all the potions today. Boss, we lost 1.125 billion in the potion market project. After reporting the data, Crossfire was extremely nervous. However, Spec was expressionless. He did not directly pursue the matter of Crossfire, but instead calmed the hatred in his heart. If not for that scoundrel Tyrant, their project would have earned at least 3 billion and could have taken 50% of the market. In total, the profit would have been at least 10 billion. However, it was this bastard who made the entire market of the ruins of the war disappear, and he even lost more than 1 billion. This was unforgivable. As Spec was furious, a huge scarlet banner appeared on the holographic screen, and a grand voice sounded. Ding! Iron Skull City announcement, Cold Desolate Dragon City. City Lord of Cold Desolate Dragon City, Tyrant, has issued a recruitment mission. Construction of Cold Desolate Dragon City. Mission description: any adventurer can enter the Cold Desolate Dragon City and help complete its construction. All adventurers who participate in the event and obtain enough contribution points will receive a high-grade equipment reward. At the same time, you can exchange points for a large number of high-grade rewards. Please participate eagerly. For event details, please click here to check. Ding! Ding! The huge announcement sounded 3 times. Spec was first stunned, then he sneered, "Very good, Tyrant. Since you dare to open the city to us, I'll let you know the consequences of doing so. Crossfire, organize 50,000 players without guild IDs and head to Cold Desolate Dragon City to investigate the details of the layout. If there's a chance, wait for the opportunity to kill the important NPCs in the main city." "Yes, boss." Blood Shadow City, Netherworld Guild. Guild leader Nether River was discussing with the higher UPS of the guild how to deal with Tyrant. That guy was too detestable. In the beginning, the epic mission Lost Cold Desolate Dragon City that the Netherworld Guild was tackling had failed. At the beginning, they could not be sure if Tyrant had discovered Cold Desolate Dragon City first. Later, when the news of the city being built spread, they finally confirmed that it was Tyrant who beat them to it. Previously, when he was buying the guild establishment token, the Netherworld Guild had also been played by Tyrant. That guy had deliberately said that it was the first guild establishment token and made them spend a lot of money to buy it. In the end, when they were building the guild, this guy had beat them to it. As one of the strongest dark guilds, the Netherworld Guild had never been played like this. If he did not kill Tyrant, it would be difficult to vent the hatred in his heart. Bull Demon, bring a group of elite assassins to Cold Desolate Dragon City immediately and investigate the details of the city. In addition, send our people in Iron Skull City to enter the Cold Desolate Dragon City and organize the planning map of the city. We have to find an opportunity to destroy his administrative hall and destroy the city that Tyrant has worked so hard to build. I believe that as long as we destroy the city, we can directly obtain the treasures in the city's warehouse. That city creation token must be inside. Nether River ordered his subordinates coldly. Perhaps in a head-on battle, they were no match for Tyrant. However, the Cold Desolate Dragon City was so huge. Tyrant could not defend the entire city alone. As long as there was a loophole, there was a chance to sneak into the other party's administrative hall and destroy the entire city. At that time, Tyrant's efforts would be ruined. Soon, at the Domination Guild headquarters, Unparalleled Domination looked at the information he had just obtained from the Cold Desolate Dragon City. When he saw that the area of the entire Cold Desolate Dragon City had reached tens of thousands of hectares, Unparalleled Domination was so jealous that his face distorted. It was too infuriating. This Tyrant was clearly a solo player, but he actually controlled such a huge territory. It was simply a waste of a god's gift. A city needed people to guard it, and a city with tens of thousands of hectares needed at least 200,000 troops to guard all the city walls. Such a size could allow a large guild with more than 100,000 people to develop their own forces. If he was given this city, he was definitely confident that he could expand the guild into a huge territory with millions of people in a short time and directly become the strongest in the world. However, Tyrant was the owner. Moreover, this guy let a group of NPCs help guard the city. It was simply a waste of resources. It was such a good place, but the NPCs actually benefited from it. He was really the shame of all players. Fate is f***ing ridiculous. Unparalleled Domination sighed helplessly, then looked at the other higher UPS and said, "Now, let all the branches gather the building resources." In the other branches, players without the prefix Domination in their names will go to Cold Desolate Dragon City to accept missions. We can't miss this city creation token. Because of the previous conflict, Tyrant would definitely not let their guild members enter the Cold Desolate Dragon City. Now, he could only use the members of the branches to let them compete with the other guilds for the city creation token. Fortunately, the Domination Guild had enough members. Even if a portion of them were excluded, they were completely capable of competing with the people of other guilds for points. However, this order confused some higher UPS. One of the players called Domination Frenzied Sword could not help but ask, "Boss, hasn't our strategy all along been to accumulate resources to build our camp in the future?" "Damn, are you stupid?" Unparalleled Domination slammed the table and stood up. He pointed at the player and cursed, "Look at the situation now, we're still accumulating resources. The second city creation token is already out, and there are still dozens of platinum grade equipment. If we can't snatch the platinum grade equipment this time, how can we compete with other guilds? How can we snatch a territory? You think you're qualified to be a commander? If not for the fact that you're my cousin, I would have killed you with a single slash. What a stupid fool.